What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be checking out MSTR and Bitcoin today. So yesterday we closed at 179.04 and we're currently sitting at 173.6 or 0.9 as you can see in pre-market. We'll see what the next move is. As you can see, we've kind of been creating this little pattern where it's red momentum, a little relief. You can see that happening again and again. Red with a little bit of run up, red with a little bit of a run up. You can see that pattern has been kind of holding steady. Not saying that it's going to continue doing that, because this thing can always flip back around really quick. Of course, depending on whatever Bitcoin does. And we do have clean traffic here. If we were to make a run up above this structure, we could see, if we make a run up and close, we could see a move to about 207 right here at this wick, and eventually to 223 if we catch momentum on Bitcoin and that transfers over to MSTR. Of course, MSTR would have to, be in line with Bitcoin or outperform. But of course, like we've been looking at on MSTR divided by IVIT, that hasn't been happening. On the weekly, we still have 3 days left. Right now, we were talking about how after getting a close here on this structure, we're looking for a retest and potentially a move down if we hold that retest underneath the structure, but we're still in the middle of that happening. On the flip side, if we were to close, like I said before, above this structure, we're looking for a retest here and a move to the upside. So it really depends on where this next candle closes, whether it closes above 184 or if it closes back underneath 170 or lower. We are nearing the 200 week, which is a very, very strong level. If you lose that, then we could really see more downside. But that should be a major, major support level if we touch that at about 140. And on the monthly, pretty close is the 50-month moving average. That's sitting at 132. So 132 to about 140 should be major support. So this region right here should be, we should see a major bounce. If not, then that's going to equal more downside. The daily is still incredibly bearish on the SMAs. When we take a look at global liquidity, we have started to see a descent now. We talked about it a while ago, saying that once we started to see this formation here, we saw the left shoulder, we saw the head being formed, and then right about here, we were saying we could potentially see either upside or this could start to form that head and shoulders, which is what we're seeing now. So that could potentially mean more downside for global liquidity, which means that could be something that's upcoming for Bitcoin, as this typically leads Bitcoin's moves and just risk on assets in general. So we could be seeing something like this coming up. But right now on global liquidity, we do have a little bit of support at this region here at this previous high. So we do have some kind of support there. We'll see if we fall underneath that and continue that move to lower targets, which means you would be seeing some liquidity get sucked out of the markets. So we could see a little bit of downside, not guaranteed, but always just probabilities. Nothing's ever guaranteed, like I always say anyways. On the daily, you can see that we have been underneath our 8-day moving average, which is kind of like our short-term rally indicator. And it's just been holding very steady, tapping it every so often and just continuing down. We had a tap over here November 18th and a continuation down. So we'll see if we actually come for another touch at around 190 and continue down, or if we can break above it and start to see a nice little uptrend like we saw over here. And on the weekly, it's kind of the same thing. We're looking for some kind of retest, but that retest would be at 230. And of course, that would be a good sign to see if we could break back above that, use it as support and continue higher. Right now, I mean, if you're a long-term investor in MSTR, none of this should even matter. You should just be looking for, really just looking for ideal levels to accumulate. So like a major level would be this zone right here. That's going to be a major accumulation zone, in my opinion. Like I said, it can continue falling, but if you're accumulating heavy at this zone, and let's say it falls even further, you start to accumulate at this next key level of support and resistance. let's say it even falls further, start accumulating at the next major level of support, and eventually you're going to start to see that upside kick back in with time. Remember, these things take time. A lot of people think in terms of weeks and months, and sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it is, but overall, a lot of these moves take 2-3 years to play out. So you just have to be patient and have conviction in whatever you're purchasing. But yeah, like I said, you could see another accumulation zone here, even all the way down here. This could be opportunities and pockets that you can bring your dollar cost average down, and your average cost, bring it back down, and hopefully with time we'll start to see the upside again on MSTR like we saw in the previous 2 cycles in 2020 running up, and then 2023 into 2024. I would assume that this drop is going to be a little bit smaller than this drop because of the larger market cap, like I said before. Over here from the top, you can see that we dropped about 90%, and then since the market cap is much larger, maybe we drop 80%, which would take us to about 100. Maybe we drop 75, which takes us to 130. So we'll see. And if we were to drop the exact same 90%, that takes us all the way down to about 53. But that would mean that Bitcoin's probably going to see a lot more downside if we were to see a major move to the downside like that. Always possible, and nothing's out of question. Now on Bitcoin, we've been seeing a major level of support here with these connected tops over here, from the 2021 double top to the 2024 top, and then to the 2025 bottom in April. And now we're finding major support there. I'm not surprised. It's been acting as major resistance here and a major floor over here. Seeing it act as a major floor here is not anything out of the ordinary. Now, like I said, if we were to fall underneath this structure, then we're looking for a retest and a continuation down to this next horizontal level, which lines up with this April and February push up here before breaking through. And of course, on the flip side, which we're already seeing, if we were to close back above this structure, which we did, this upward sloping trend line, then we could see upside up until around 91.2. Then we might see a little bit of chop before making our next decision, whether it's to create a little double top or to start pushing higher. Overall, we're still holding above this key structure here, so we'll see where it takes us, but we're going to go piece by piece. And I have this level marked out over here just because of the previous lows that we have seen in this major channel. We'll see if we actually get a touch here. Of course, the market cap is much larger on Bitcoin, so these moves could slowly start to diminish to the downside and diminish to the upside. So overall, Bitcoin will eventually stabilize. As you can see, the moves are very large, and then eventually with time, they're just going to get tighter and tighter because the drops will be less and the gains will be less. But that's part of Bitcoin stabilizing, like I said. On the weekly SMAs, we're still underneath our 50 and our 20. Our 20 is curling down onto our 50 right now. And on the daily, underneath all three. We are finding support off of the 20-month moving average, which is a major one. That's what we've been talking about in the last couple of videos. We want to see it close back above it or hold slightly above where we're currently at. Use that as support to continue higher. If not, this is going to be a major level of resistance bouncing off this 20-month moving average. We'll probably see more downside if we end up closing and retesting off of this 20-month moving average if we close underneath it. Those are some of the things to be aware of right now. MSTR divided by IBIT is still severely underperforming, as you can see. Nothing new here, just a continuation down. We're more than likely going to fall to the next structure, I would assume. Doesn't have to play out, but just based off of the trajectory, you can see how it's speeding up. We're taking a steeper angle. You can see this first angle here, and then we take this next angle. It's getting very steep, as you can tell. So we'll see if we actually make contact with it or if we just shoot down a little bit further before pushing up for our next touch here on MSTR divided by IBIT. But right now it's just showing severe underperformance ahead for MSTR against IBIT. Tether dominance is ripping to the upside. This is not what you want to see. It's finding support on this structure here. We found resistance initially, but now we're still holding support above this structure. We found a retest and it's trying to push higher. We'll see what plays out. What we don't want to see is a close above this structure here at 6.75. If we close there and hold it, we could potentially see a large move. It doesn't have to make it all the way to the top of the range, but the idea is that we're more than likely going to see pretty large move to the upside. Taking a look to the left-hand side, we have clean traffic, so it wouldn't surprise me if we do see something dramatic above there, but that would mean a lot of downside for Bitcoin. Now, if we were to see a move all the way up to this structure here, that's probably going to be the bottom for Bitcoin, I would imagine, because that's a very sizable move. And you can see the previous times where we peaked up here, those were the 2022 lows. So that's just something to consider and think about. What we'd like to see on Tether dominance is a close back underneath the structure, retest, and a push down to the structure, and eventually fall back inside of this downward sloping trend line and continue that momentum and hopefully touching this blue line again. But right now, that's not what it's looking like. Is it possible? Yes, but the way that the momentum has been taking us and carrying, it's been, obviously to the upside. Now the dollar looks like it is finding that support and starting to round to the upside. We'll see how it plays out. As you can see, we've had multiple touches of support previously, and this time seems to be no different, which is what we were talking about prior, where we were saying if we see a drop in the dollar, it's probably going to be short-lived, and we only made it to 96. We even make it to the structure at 95.4, and now we're sitting at 99.9. We touched above 100. We touched about 100.4. So the next thing that we're looking for now is ideally touching here and falling back, seeing weakness on the dollar. But if we don't see that, then we're going to be looking for a move above here, retesting, and then this is a clean move all the way up here, so we could see a rally in the dollar. If we see a rally on the dollar, that more than likely could bring some weakness to risk on assets like Bitcoin and other stocks. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoy content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.